Greetings and salutations, friends. My name is Ariana, and today I had an idea for a video, and we're going to see if it pans out. So here it is. Basically, I had an idea where I would talk about a movie while doing an activity that pertained to that movie. So today, I'm going to be talking about a movie about roller derby while roller skating, which is not roller derby, but same difference. I figured I'd try to spice up self-isolation and put these on and roller skate around my house. Awesome. Let's see how it works. So I'm going to be talking about the film Whip It, which came out in 2009, starring the beautiful Ellen Page, which is the only lesbian Ellen I choose to acknowledge today. I said what I had to say. And it's directed by Drew Barrymore, who love that woman. So let's get rolling. You get it. So, while I put these bad boys on, I'm going to tell you what Whip It is about. So, Whip It, released in 2009, is about this character named Bliss, who lives in the imaginary small town of Bodine, Texas. And Bliss's mom is a pageant mama. She loves to put Bliss in these pageants, which Bliss just doesn't like it. She's not into it. So, one day, Bliss is at the mall with her mom, and, oh my god, these laces are insane. And some roller derby girls come in, and they come in super cool and slow motion, and she sees a flyer for one of their, I wouldn't call them performances, one of their, what do you call when you go to see a sport happening? Games? I don't think they're called games. Okay, she goes to see the roller derby women play, and she goes with her best friend Patch, and she loves it. She falls in love with it, and she decides, you know what? I'm going to audition for this. Basically, these roller derby girls practice in Austin, which is kind of like a bus drive away. So she gets on like an elderly school bus and goes to audition, and she gets in, and now she has to hide from her mom, who thinks she's doing SAT practice, when really she's going to roller derby with these girls. But here's the twist. She's a senior in high school. She's, I think, 17. Yeah, she's 17. And everyone thinks I believe you have to be 21 to do it. So everyone thinks she's 21. So that's the plot of the film. Now, roller skates are on. Let's talk about some cool stuff I liked in the movie. Alright, so one thing I really loved about the movie started off really early. And that is, after Bliss leaves her first pageant competition that we see in the film, she sits in the back seat of the car, and her little sister sits in the front, and obviously her mom is driving. And the point of view that we are is sort of on the windshield, so we see her in the back seat. So her passive attitude is already symbolically told to us through this visual cue. And one thing I love later on in the film is that after Bliss goes to the mall and sees these roller derby girls, she's still sitting in the back seat of the truck, but now the camera is in the point of view of the trunk, and we see her turning. So not only is this visually translating her longing to go back to the mall and to see them because she's turning back, but the fact that the camera is now putting her at the center, showing her in the foreground of the shot, just shows that this is a change. A change is coming, a change is happening in her character. Another aspect of the film I really loved is once Bliss decides that she wants to audition to be a part, or I guess try out. My musical theater kid just popped out. I said audition. When she wants to try out to be a part of the roller derby team, as she is on her way to, I believe it's either to audition, try out, or to actually do it for the first time, when she gets on the bus with all these elderly people, we get a mini montage of her looking out the window. The first thing we see is a football team, and immediately that stood out to me. The next thing we see is these two guys that are like shotgunning a can of beer on the side of the road, and I love that the film chose to show this right in this scene. And the reason I love it so much is because here it's showing all of these forms of typical masculinity, of what it means to be manly, and yet we're on our way to see our main character do a sport that is typically thought to be masculine, because it is a violent sport. It's a very heavy contact sport, And I just love that it's subverting what it means to be masculine through a female gaze. And this reminds me of a really great quote when I was doing research on the film and on roller derby in general. Here's a quote from Margaret Atwell's novel Derby Life, a crash course in the incredible sport of roller derby. In a phone interview with, I believe it was the New York Times, she said, "Feminism is in the DNA of the sport, and having a space that centers female and gender expansive aggression is really important." And I feel like that scene with her looking at football players and men shotgunning beer really accentuates what we are about to encounter in this film. So, the next thing that stands out to me in the movie is Kristen Wiig. Kristen Wiig is actually one of the roller derby girls, which truly makes me extremely happy because I love Kristen Wiig and I love her character in it, and her line delivery and comedic delivery is always fantastic, so she's great in it. I almost ate shit just now, no offense. Another thing I want to talk about, I'm okay, is the theme of career versus just doing something that you love. This is a subject that's been coming up quite a bit for me recently, especially as a high school graduate. It's this idea in our society that anything you do that brings you joy, you need to capitalize on. You need to find a way to make a living out of it, make money out of it, turn it into a commodity to sell to people. And that's really hard on people who just want to do things that they enjoy, and then they feel like if they're devoting their time to it, they're wasting their time because they're not being productive and not making money off of it. And so the way the film portrays this best is through the character of Patch, which is Bliss's best friend. Also, I'm wearing my glasses. I just realized that. Oh well, I'll take them off, just so there's no glare. So one scene in particular really emphasizes this, but I'll get to that in a second. So like I said earlier, Bliss is telling her mom that she's actually at SAT prep classes when really she's out in Austin, Texas, playing roller derby and training. And she gets this idea because her best friend Patch is actually doing the SAT classes. So this comes up again when Bliss messes up at one point in the film. She goes with Patch to her game and she kind of abandons her, and Patch has a cup of beer in her hand and a cop sees her and arrests her. When Bliss goes to see Patch, Patch makes a really passive-aggressive comment saying, "This roller derby career of yours." And I love what Bliss says. Bliss says, even though she is at fault right now, she says, "That's not what this is about." And I really love that because it shows that she maybe isn't thinking about what she's gonna do as a career after high school, but that's not a bad thing. This is her feeling passionate about something for the first time in her life and pursuing it without being afraid of what it could mean and just enjoying the moment. There's actually a quote where, I forget who said it to her, but someone tells her, "This is just a moment," and she says, "And how great is that?" It's so great to see a 17-year-old confronting that fear of just enjoying the things you enjoy. Later on in the film, Patch gets into Columbia, and that's fantastic. But at the end of the film, when Bliss talks to her mom about what the plan is now when she graduates, she says, "I'm just gonna move out here to Austin and see how things go." And I really love that because I think people, especially now, feel the need to grow up fast and figure out what they want to do with their lives fast. And it was really breathtaking as a high school graduate to see this message portrayed in the film. And the way it was done was very intelligent, and I really loved it. Now I want to talk about some small details that I really loved about the film. One is where Bliss's love interest, Oliver, they are about to seclude to a little private area, and we see him in a gas station. And obviously we're meant to infer that he's buying condoms. And even though this doesn't sound like a very exciting moment in the movie, I really loved it because rarely in movies do you see couples, especially young couples, using protection. And here the film is showing you he is getting protection, they will be using protection. And I feel like that's a subtle thing to include that a lot of audiences don't get to see when it comes to sex in movies. Another thing I really loved is towards the end of the film, Bliss is at a pageant and she's doing it just for her mom. And when she finally decides to leave and go to the final game that's happening on that same day, she gives her dress to a really, really nice pageant girl who was super lovely and super kind. And I love that they include that because it's a way to show that there's nothing wrong with doing pageants. Having a positive pageant girl, because I think there were a couple other girls in the pageants that were bullying her or talking smack about Bliss. And I love that the film had a really positive character because it was saying, hey, nothing wrong with doing pageants. If that's what you like, that's what you like. No worries. Bliss just doesn't like that stuff. That's just her. A third detail I loved is Drew Barrymore's character. Drew Barrymore is actually in the movie, and she plays this sort of ditzy character who just loves to get hurt while doing roller derby. And at the very end, I think either in the last game or in the second to last game, the coach is about to pull Drew out, and she's like, no, please keep me in. I can do this. And it shows her whoop this girl's ass and completely get a point for them, which was awesome because it wasn't just dismissing her character as a ditzy, one-dimensional idiot. She is good at the sport. She can be good at this, and she rocks it. It's the small details that matter. A couple final thoughts. Bliss is shown to be wearing a zebra shirt a couple times, but it's not just one zebra, it's two zebras staring at each other. And I did some research into what zebras symbolize, and they're meant to symbolize freedom and the wild spirit. Even if the shirt wasn't meant to symbolize anything, it was just a cool shirt that she would wear because she's edgy. This really does tie into the theme of the film, which is Bliss trying to find her identity, find her voice, be free, and trying to get along with her mom and have a positive relationship with her mother while still being herself. And also, there is a character in the film called Iron Maiden, and she's basically the head of Bliss's roller derby team's enemy. So at one point, Iron Maiden figures out that Bliss is 17, and she tells her that she knows, she confronts her about it. And yet, when the two go head to head at the very end, Iron Maiden says, I had no intention of hating you and getting you kicked out of the game. I wanted you to play. I wanted to beat you fair and square. But she was just upset that here was a young woman who was 17 and was almost as good as her, if not better, while she's in her 30s still working hard. And I feel like that is such a sincere conflict in this woman. Like the way it discusses age, and yeah, like it is annoying to see or frustrating to see a young woman do what you've worked so hard to do. I feel like it's a very sincere problem to have, and I like that it doesn't just villainize her. She is kind of a bitch sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, but I get that conflict, and I think that's a really well-written conflict. So I'm gonna wrap this up while I take off these skates. Final thoughts, I truly enjoyed this film more than I thought I would. Not that I didn't think it would be good, I just didn't think it would have touched me the way that it did. I truly love what it has to say about motherhood, and it really discusses this not only through obviously Bliss's mom and her relationship with her, but Kristen Wiig, who at one point says that she has her old man waiting for her at home, and then it's revealed that she actually has a son. And so through Kristen Wiig, Bliss is able to empathize with her mother. And so I really love what the film has to say about motherhood and also what it means to be a woman and not have to be in a gender-specified box of femininity and masculinity, to just enjoy things that maybe society tells you shouldn't enjoy. And I just really loved it. I thought the performances were great. I thought that every woman's role in the film was special and contributed to the plot in some way, and I truly recommend that you guys watch it. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. If you enjoyed this video and enjoyed the idea of me doing an activity that relates to the movie while I talk about it, let me know and I'll do it again. And if you do watch Whip It or you've seen it, let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye guys. I don't know why I decided to wear a sweater while I did this entire video, but I do regret it.